I am with one of Fairport's celebrities, Mary, who I didn't know her last name because most people call you Gas Station Mary.
Correct.
Right. Why is that? Because that's where you...
Because I run a gas station.
Yeah, that's what I just to let people know.
Yep.
But her real name is Mary Carey, which I you must... Is that bad? Should I not say that?
No.
Is it okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
Because I think most people would... I don't know. I'm trying to think of nicknames for you and stuff when you were a kid.
She's like the mayor of Fairport.
She is like the mayor of Fairport. This is the thing. And she said to me, I want to help the VFW because they're helping to celebrate America's 250th birthday. Yep. And it's a big deal. And I said, sure, that would be fine. And that's what we're doing. What is happening with the VFW?
June 13th is just this is going to be just a big event for America's 250th, and we're going to get everybody amped for the actual birthday.
I love it.
Right. And so that's why we're doing it June 13th. Right.
So June 13th, if I show up, what can I expect?
Lots of things.
Okay. Well, see, now that's not telling me anything.
Well,
give me specifics.
We're going to have a food truck.
I'm not sure the name of the
hot
food
dogs.
truck, but it's veteran-owned food truck.
Yeah.
This is okay. I love great. Now I think that's an important piece of information. Are you learning?
I'm learning.
I'm teasing you. Okay, so there'll be the food truck.
Yeah. And then we'll have a 50-50 draw, and then we're going to have raffle baskets off, things from so many people in the community gave, and then we have high-end whiskeys that we're going to do a separate raffle for.
Yeah.
Some really good stuff like Weller's, Blanton's Gold.
That's some good stuff.
Some samurai shit.
Some what?
Some samurai shit.
Some bottle's got a samurai on top.
Okay.
No, really
Let's
cool,
go.
though. Really,
I'm sure it is extremely cool, but it sounds like it's from Asia. Is it an
Japan.
Asian? Okay, so that would be Asia, a Japanese whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
That. And Iron Smoke donated a barrel. So the local artist is going to paint it with the American flag on one side and the 250th on the other, and we'll raffle that off.
Oh,
too.
I want that.
And Jumbo Shrimp will be playing
Love Jumbo Shrimp.
from 7 to 10.
Yep. Tom and Ian. I love those guys. I think that. So from what time?
7 to 10.
7 to 10. Is this all inside, outside, combo?
It's going to be a combo. We're going to have, if it's nice, obviously, we're going to have people outside. We'll have some things going on outside.
Yeah, the cornhole.
Start the raffles and such, I believe, at 5 p.m. But, I mean, if anybody wants to come earlier in the day, we open at noon, and it'll be open. Okay. We'll be open for everybody at noon that day.
At noon that day.
Right. The raffles.
We open the door at 11:30 for you, just in case.
Okay.
The raffles will start around 5 p.m.
Okay.
And I think by 6:30, 6:45-ish is we're going to have just a very short, I don't want to say ceremony, but little birthday celebration on the hill. A couple people will say a few words, hopefully, about
I think Mary has bagpipes, right? You got bagpipes?
Yes, 3.
After a
it's
little birthday celebration on Freedom Hill, we're going to go right into Jumbo Shrimp, tearing the place up.
I hope everyone comes out for the 250th on June 13th. I hope
Again, open to the public.
Open to the public.
Everybody's welcome. 300 Macedon Center Road.
Okay.
Just outside the village.
Gotcha.
The only podcast where the host needs a therapist.
An issue for me that I've realized is I need external validation. I need external validation from women.
And wants to be one.
I hear you. I hear you.
From the Mac of All Trades studio in Fairport, New York, it's Billified, the Bill Moran Podcast.
Well, hello and welcome. Thanks for getting your pot on. Thank you for telling a friend. That's how we spread the word about the pirate ship. I've been wanting to talk to this person for a while because I find it like I love people that bet on themselves, especially after most people stop pursuing their dream and they build something that is really meaningful and it comes from passion and they do it where they live instead of like waiting for permission from somebody, and it's like balancing a dream, and they have responsibilities and the quiet sacrifices that all go into this from not just themselves but families. And I think it also proves something, that talent matters But consistency is really what it's all about. And that would lead me to the most handsome man in rock and roll. That would be Elvio Fernandes.
What's up?
How are you?
Good, buddy. How are you?
I mean, to me, your story has depth because excuse me. Elvio is in the rock band Daughtry, but it's not some 22-year-old with nothing to lose.
No.
When that all came about for you. And I just think most people quietly buy their dreams somewhere between paying bills and driving kids to practice, and they just sort of die there. And you did the opposite. And I, for whatever reason, I always go, God, I fucking love that. Because I'll ask you to start with, music, obviously a passion for you. You had one of the most popular bands in the greater Rochester area with Uncle Plum.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a popular band. Everybody
so
went.
Much fun.
And the greatest thing was, if you were a single young guy, you wanted to go to the Uncle Plum show because there was a whole lot of hot chicks there. There was a lot of them.
Yeah.
And but what did music give you kind of emotionally that maybe normal life didn't? And I don't even know if you were trained in some way, or is this just all a natural thing with you?
No, it was, and it's tough to talk about this stuff sometimes without sounding like, a douchebag and like, I was bored with all this talent, but
clearly
it was like,
but why can't you say that?
But trying to be,
Well,
I think humility is an important thing to me, and I think it should be an important thing to people in the music industry in general, because people love to take their shit way too serious. It's just music, like people get crazy about it. But in the same way that some people are born with that gene where they can look at you and just draw a perfect portrait, I can't do that.
No, and neither can I.
But if I hear a song, I can figure it out and play it, or come close at least. You know what I mean? I have a gene that gave me a really good ear for music, and my parents realized that at a young age. I was probably 2 or 3. There's a little toy piano in the house, and there'd be music playing in the house, and I would just start playing along. And my mom was like, "The fuck is he doing? Like, that's weird." And then they realized that it was something that was in me. But my grandfather, I grew up around music, but it was mostly Portuguese, almost like the Portuguese blues. It's a style of music called fado, and my grandfather played this 12-string guitar, just this haunting, like really melancholy. It's like the blues, basically.
Yeah.
And my mom would sing and make up songs and write her own verses. And, and I just remember being around that at all times. And then once they realized I had a gene for it, I just got thrown into the mix. They gave me an accordion. It was bigger than me. Yeah. Just. So
do they teach you how to play these things? No, you just picked it up.
I just picked it up and figured it out.
What was your grandfather's training? Because to play a 12-string guitar, man,
he was incredible.
Did he have any formal training, or was that just inherent as well?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't think he ever took lessons or anything, but maybe he collaborated with other guitarists or whatever. But it's just those are my earliest memories of music. I used to stay with my grandparents a lot in the 19th Ward on Lincoln Avenue back in the day. A lot of Portuguese people settled in the 19th Ward, and across the street from my grandparents' house was the Portuguese Club. It was this place they rented, and it was people would go, they'd get all shitty and celebrate this and that and play music. And
that's amazing.
He would walk across the street, come back home hammered, and I would be hiding under the kitchen table. And he'd pick up his guitar and start playing, and I would just sit there and listen. Like, I was so mesmerized by that sound. And I knew that, I always wanted music to be a part of my life, but, it never seemed attainable in that sense, in terms of like, I can do this for a living and be a quote rock star, like it's crazy how
it is crazy in a sense, because the other thing is, I didn't even know there was a Portuguese blues.
Yeah, it's like I don't know if blues is the right word.
Yeah.
Folk, blues, Americana. It's a really interesting, beautiful sound. It almost has some Middle Eastern vibes. It's beautiful. And my mom my mom singing and my grandfather playing, like those. That's why I'm a musician today, for sure.
Wow.
And then I saw Billy Joel in concert, and my life changed.
I always loved Billy Joel. Matter of fact, when I was first in college, I went to a community college because my old man was like, you will drink your way out. So you got to prove to me that you can handle it.
Yep.
And so I was there, and we started our own fraternity, Billy Babes and Beer. And we were listening to Billy Joel drink beer and chase after women. And
That's awesome.
I always loved Billy Joel. Yeah. And I didn't know, like, there was a talk of a super group.
Was there?
Mm-hmm. Billy Joel,
okay,
Sting.
Oh, my God.
And John Mayer.
Sign me up.
That was, it was supposed to be.
Love all three of those.
I do too. Yeah. I'm a huge John Mayer fan.
He's incredible.
I think that guy is so talented. And another one that I don't know had any real formal training, like, again. And
Mayer?
Yeah, I think he went to
Berkeley.
He did, but I think, like, growing up, it was just kind of hodgepodge, right?
He was listening to Stevie Ray Vaughan and Hendrix and all that stuff. That's his style,
Yeah, and it was, and he's just a great guitarist and stuff like that.
Great songwriter.
Lyrically, right?
Absolutely.
And can get into stuff. And I always like he's got a channel on Sirius XM. Yep. And I listen to it a lot, and I love when he tells you about the songs.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people, and I don't know, right, is he going to really admit things or not, but Your Body is a Wonderland, I think a lot of people thought was about Jessica Simpson or some breakup. And he says it was about a young man who just was so, like, in his head, or maybe, I think that was that one, but then there's also Daughters, and that was after a breakup.
It's a brilliant song.
It is, but he's just talking about it's a young man going through a breakup and like, please train them not to crush me like this. Kind of was the thing, and I go, wow, I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
you know, like the old behind the music.
Yeah. I saw Billy Joel when I was, I'm gonna probably get the time wrong, but I want to say 13 or 14 years old, and it was the greatest and worst feeling at the exact same time. See if you can follow me here. It was the greatest in terms of, like, oh my God, this resonates with me so much. I love these songs. I love his playing. I love everything about this, but it'll never happen. That's impossible. How am I going to do that? Right? Like it was like, it's like wanting to be a pro baseball player or a pro football player. You want it so badly, but you don't really think it's possible for a kid living in Rochester, New York. You know what I mean?
And that's just it. That is just that actually leads me to, like, sort of my next question, because you built all of this from Rochester, not New York, not LA, not Nashville, which has become kind of a hotbed. I think a lot of people, a lot of songwriters go there.
Sure.
And I don't know, did staying here help your creativity because it kept you grounded? Look, I mean, you talk about humility.
Yeah, you know, we can all revisit choices we've made.
Sure.
And you know, if you can get a mulligan, would you do it the same way? And, you know, a lot of times I tell myself, if I had a mulligan, I probably would have moved to LA when I was 21 or 22 or New York. And who knows? I mean, my life could have been very different, you know, and I'm a firm believer of everything for a reason. Family is really important to me. And my entire family, aunts, uncles, everybody's here in Rochester.
Right.
And even my wife's side of the family.
Yeah.
And my kids' grandparents. You know what I mean? Both sets. And it's just like, is it worth it for me to sacrifice all of that just to be in a nicer place with warm weather in a really cool music scene? You know, like there's pluses and minuses to everything. And, you know, I'll admit it, that thought of moving west was scary.
Yeah.
You know, I was a bit of a pussy when it came to, like, you know, leaving home and stuff. I went to Geneseo. I didn't go to, like, you know, Florida State or anything. It's close enough that I can come home and see mom and dad and family and stuff like that. But, you know, in our culture, in the Portuguese culture, the family is everything. So that's probably a reason why I ended up staying here. But again, everything for a reason. So I spent many years playing in cover bands, and, you know, a lot of times that's frowned upon in terms of artistry and stuff, and, oh, you're wasting your time playing covers. But I firmly believe that the skills that I obtained playing so many covers, I feel like prepped me for a lot of situations that I've been put in the big leagues now. In terms of, I mean, just one example, we do these, you know, acoustic shows.
Those
Chris,
they got to be amazing.
It's usually me, Chris, and Brian that'll do. It's like an acoustic trio, and we just, you know, reimagine these Daughtry songs in a stripped down fashion, right? And Brian's father-in-law had passed away. This was one of the first ones we had ever done, and he had to go home, and it was just me and Chris. and I think it was the Beacon Theater. It was one of these places in New York. It was iconic, and there was multiple people on the bill. Like Gavin DeGraw was on the bill. I want to say Train maybe, and we didn't rehearse. We didn't have the chance to. So it was literally just me and Chris, and I'm on stage, and I have to on the spot reimagine these Daughtry songs and make them piano based, and get through this. And I did it. Like, but I'm a firm believer that a lot of the reason why I could do that was the years of just, being in uncomfortable situations. And I used to do a duo with John Akers here in town.
Yep.
We would take requests all night long. So I'd be winging shit all night long. And I winged it that night with Chris, but it worked out great. So, everything for a reason, right?
Yeah.
And it came late in life for me in terms of getting to that next level, but
well, we say like late in life, right? Because you weren't.
I was 38.
22, you were okay.
Yep.
So, and that is right. Most people by that point, your Saturday nights are the PTA fundraiser for whatever, or
my kids were young. They were like 8 and 4. Or something like that. Yeah.
But and prior to that though, because you could have chased this full time. You were doing other things to support your family, and but instead you started your Roc Star Academy. To help kids. Why was that important to you? Because that came before, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
That started in, so I joined Daughtry in 2012.
Yeah.
And the very first iteration of Roc Star Academy was a summer camp, and that was 2009.
Okay.
So when we would do these Uncle Plum gigs, a lot of times we'd get hired to do, East End festivals and big things like that, but also like,
oh God, I forgot the East End
the Chili Fest. The Gates 4th of July.
God.
A lot of family friendly.
Yeah. Well, didn't you grow up in Gates?
Yeah, I grew up in Gates over there. Yes, I grew up in Gates, and then we lived in Greece, and then we came over to Webster. But we do a lot of these festivals, and it was family friendly. So there'd be all these little kids just rocking out in front of the stage. And there was one show in particular, I'm watching all these kids, and they're just killing it, and they're having so much fun. And I had this idea. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm bringing them up on stage. So I had the mic, and I said something to the effect of like, which one of you kids thinks you got what it takes? And American Idol was huge at that time.
Okay.
This is even before I met Chris or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, which one of you kids thinks you got what it takes to be the next American Idol? And they're all waving their hands. I was like, get up here. So we brought all these kids up on stage. There's some really cool photos because that exist of this happening, and it literally is the beginning of Roc Star Academy. So these kids come up on stage, and they're cute, they're tiny, and I'm looking for the cutest, smallest one. And my sound man at the time was Sebastian Marino, God rest his soul. He passed away. He owned audio images.
Yep.
He was right with me.
No, you keep going. I'm going to just turn on the light.
Yep. So he was right with me that entire process. He knew exactly where I was going with this. So I pull this kid out, and I'm like, "What's your name?" And the kid was like, I don't remember, like Mikey, and the mic was loud, so the whole crowd could hear it crystal clear. I was like, Mikey, you think you got what it takes? He's like, yeah. And then I said to the audience, I said, all right, your job, and there's thousands of people out there. It's one of those big, like I said, outdoor festivals. I said, your job is to make this kid feel like a rock star. Are we on the same page? And everybody starts cheering. And we were doing that song from the Chili Peppers, Give It Away.
Yeah.
So I told the kid, I go, I'm going to count to 3. I'm going to hand you the mic. You do whatever you want. You want to jump up and down. You want to say, give it away now. Whatever you want to do. Show's yours. I counted to 3, bro, and it was like, oh, like it just happened. The kid starts going, give it away, and he's jumping up and down. The crowd's losing their shit. And it was like, I need to figure out a way how to make as many kids feel like rock stars, because this kid will never forget that moment for the rest of his life.
Yeah, I always thought it... I didn't know that. I thought it was coming out of something you didn't have as a kid yourself, right?
Yeah.
You didn't
have...
have...
Well, that's true. Yeah.
But it didn't exist.
No.
Right.
Well, I shouldn't say it didn't exist here in Rochester.
Okay.
As far as I knew. Since then, there's some big national franchises that, I guess you could deem them competitors that do what we do, like School of Rock.
Yeah.
Bach to Rock is another one. And then... our friend Andy Babuke has a great one too, Fab Gear.
Yeah.
So they have a band program as well. So, but I wanted to do it, my version of it, basically. And it just evolved from a 1-week summer camp, which literally was, you pick up the kids on Monday in a limo, drive them around, make them feel like rock stars. Yeah, that's Monday morning. And then they show up to wherever we're doing the camp. In the beginning, we used to rent schools because they had the auditorium, they had classrooms. And I think the first one we did was at like some middle school in Greece. But we drove around in a limo, and then they get out of the limo and they go, quote, audition for us, which was just our way of being able to assess talent, right?
Yeah.
Like 1, 2, or 3. 1 being a beginner, 3 being awesome. And then we would form these bands. And the very first one I ever did, we only had enough for 2 bands. We had 2 bands. And it was awesome. And the whole week they work with coaches. They learn a couple tunes. And then Friday, Bruce at the House of Guitars would give me all the gear. The whole back line would be Marshall stacks, lights. We bring a stylist in. You want a mohawk? You got a mohawk. And it was a gig, and it was a show, and we would,
oh my God, the parents
get video.
must have
It was awesome.
Yeah.
And that I knew then and there. I was like, this is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And then every year it just would grow and grow. And then I had this autistic kid, Dylan Fenty, keyboard player, and he was unbelievable in terms of his spirit. He was a good player. But they would finish a song, and he would just literally jump up and down and just pump his fist, like just complete joy.
Yeah.
And he said something to me after one of the camps. He's like, Elvio, this is the greatest week of my life. I don't want to wait a whole nother year to do this again. And I was like, how do we turn this into a year-long academy?
Yeah.
Kids, like, obviously this kid needs this.
Yeah.
He's not the only one.
Sure.
So I just took the model of travel sports and just said, let's do it, and kind of winged it. Here we are, still doing it. It's fun.
As a father now, when you see a really shy kid who walks into Roc Star Academy and maybe he's holding a guitar like a shield, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you already know who that kid is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not the quarterback of the football team.
No.
It's the kid who is artistic, he's creative, and he locks himself in his room and plays his guitar for 6 to 7 hours for himself.
Yeah.
And my pitch is always, I will get that kid playing a guitar solo in front of 300 people at Iron Smoke, and his life will change, or her life.
Yeah.
And this is always tough for me to talk about because I remember these instances like vividly, but there was one father in particular. He walked in with his kid, and he was like a man's man, Green Beret, military guy. And he goes, "Can I talk to you for a second?" This little kid with long hair and his guitar. We go into the other room, and the guy starts crying, and he's like, "I need you to help me. I don't know what to do for my kid. He doesn't like himself. He doesn't have any friends, but he plays this guitar all the time, and I just need your help." And I was like, "I'll do what I can, bro." And the band that was playing was this young band, and they had just lost their guitar player, and they're playing a Zeppelin tune. And I asked the kid, I go, do you know this song? And he's like, "A little bit." I go, "Don't worry about it. It's all good. Get up there and play." And he went up there and played. And he had so much fun. And then he came off stage. I was like, "Would you like to join that band?" And then fast forward, this kid's writing his own music. He's got a girlfriend. He's just thriving in life.
It's so weird because, God, that's a father who can't relate.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it sounds like, at least. And I don't want to.
He was like, I've tried everything as a father. Can you help me? Yeah.
You're trying to connect, and you're coming from a very rigid, right?
Yeah.
Regimented lifestyle
Sure.
to rock and roll, and you just kind of don't get this kid. And yet I love the fact that he was tuned in enough to just figure that out.
Yeah.
But that's where, we talk a lot about with kids, self-esteem, and people go, well, how do we, kids, the proliferation of the iPhone and all the stuff on social media. And I'm always like, yeah, but if they have good self-esteem. Now, that's the hard part. How do you build self-esteem in a kid? We can't blow sunshine up their ass.
No.
And I understand that people get all mad about our culture now, everybody gets a trophy. I go, well, to a certain age, if a kid shows up to every practice on a team, I give him a trophy, but let's also award hey, the most improved, or, give us whatever. They're little kids. Make them feel good, and that if they keep working, they get more and more. But I think you can't replicate, in my mind, what you create or what Roc Star Academy creates, because I used to always ask Lou Gramm and stuff, and maybe you as well now, because you've written songs for Daughtry. Mm-hmm. What is it like to hear the audience sing back the words that you wrote? I can't imagine what that feels like.
It's insane.
Yeah. So then to have a kid who, I always say, I think we're never going to have another great guitarist because of the iPhone, because every kid that would sit in the room and just figure out guitar now is looking at porn and beating off. And we're done. Guitarists are done. They're a dying breed.
Yeah.
But I say that joke, but the idea that you get that kid to play in front of 300 people, that is life-changing.
That's the goal. So and this is what, whenever we bring in a new coach or we have any meetings with staff and stuff, like the goal at the end of the day, and I say this to parents as well, the goal is not for your kid to be a rock star. Mm-hmm. It's not for your kid to pursue music as a career. If that happens, that's a bonus. That's amazing. And obviously we've had some really good success stories with bands that we've put together at Roc Star Academy in terms of the local scene and even national stuff. The goal is for your child to leave my program with more confidence than they came with.
Yeah, and a work ethic.
And that's literally it. And where coaching and even in sports or whatever it is, where they fail and where they fall is there's this, the concept of winning. That's different for everybody, right? Mm-hmm. In my world, in Roc Star Academy, winning is putting each kid, regardless of level, in a position to win whatever that means for that kid, right?
Right.
So if I've got a guitar player that can only play bar chords, can't play lead, isn't going to set the world on fire, we put them in a situation to play the shit out of those bar chords, and we reward that. We don't put them in a situation where they're going to fail. Yeah. Like, that's dumb. Why would you do that, right?
Right.
So, we constantly are trying to, put them in the right spots and make them feel good about whatever ability or whatever they're contributing to the song. Let's celebrate that. Yeah. And then they leave feeling good.
Right.
And then that translates to job interviews and relationships and things like that.
Well, pushing yourself too, right? Take a risk. I mean, I think the biggest thing, and I see it like with my youngest son, is taking a risk.
Yes.
Right. Taking the risk of trying out for the team and not making it. Yeah. And that hurts. That stings bad. I mean, I loved basketball. I knew I sucked. I had never gotten cut from a team ever. I got moved up in 8th grade to varsity for other sports, and I knew I wouldn't make the basketball team, so I never tried out.
Yeah.
And I regret that because learning, but I say that as an old man now, but where you as a young kid, learning to deal with that is a tough thing. And I think, like, you watched even the American Idol that you bring up, boy, there's some brutal time. I always would I would sort of get a little upset when they would put like the really, really ridiculous people on, because they're like, come on, man, this guy's got something. But for you, as you move through, went forward with your career and stuff, most people think success is like one big moment, right? It happens overnight. Mm-hmm. But you've just basically laid out, it was, using the example of the Daughtry stripped down thing, if I didn't have all this experience, and I always think reps are the most important thing you can get in life, right? Yeah. But it's usually like a 15, 25-year invisible work days that nobody claps for, right? And that it would almost, but along the way for you, was there anything that almost broke you? I don't mean broke, but maybe say that didn't, like, you're just like, all right,
Well, it's easy. I had this conversation with a local musician last night over at Mulconry's. It's very easy at a young age to get addicted to this false stardom locally. Mm. Okay. So when we formed Uncle Plum, I wasn't even going to be the singer. I had no interest whatsoever in fronting a band. That's not my personality. Like, some people front a band because they want to get chicks and it's all about me. And I wanted to get a singer, and we couldn't find one. And then the rest of the guys were like, why don't you just do it? And I was like, oh my God, all right, I'll try. But I was terrified. Dude,
had you sang before?
Harmonies, like backgrounds, a couple lead here and there. But to this day, I'll admit, like, I don't like my voice. When I hear my voice on recording, it drives me crazy. But I know what I'm good at. I know my skill set, and I'm in my opinion, I'm better as a support, like backing harmonies and just blending and being the icing on the cake. You know what I mean? Like that's my skill set. It takes a completely different kind of person to be the guy in interviews, constant scrutiny, being out front in front of 60. We just played Sonic Temple, this festival in Ohio, and there's like 80,000 people. And it's like, that's nerve-wracking, bro. Like, I mean, so, for me, we formed Uncle Plum, and it became this overnight success.
They were popular. You were great. It was a great band.
And we didn't even really try. Like, we barely rehearsed. We learned some new songs, and it was just
you had a lot of talented
chemistry
people in there. Yes.
And there was chemistry
That's a
there,
good point.
and we were great friends, and it just worked for whatever reason. And I do believe, and I tell this to kids all the time forming bands, we filled a void. There was nobody doing what we were doing at the time. This was right when, bands like Foo Fighters and Rage Against the Machine and all that stuff was just breaking. Mm-hmm. And so the Zone was playing all the alternative music, right? Yeah. Disturbed and Papa Roach and all this stuff, and we jumped on that because at the time, most local bands were like kind of like dance bands. Like, people go out to dance, like Perfect World and great bands. Like Primetime Funk.
Get it right. It was Perfect Hair. They had the best hair.
Great hair.
They did. They had great hair.
But great musicians, and I loved that band. I wanted to be in that band for the longest time. But then we formed Uncle Plum, and I was like, let's do something. I want it to be more like a concert. I want people to stand there like they're at a concert and just enjoy the music. I don't care if they can dance or not. And we just filled this void, and it blew up. And we were making good money for a part-time cover band. I had a drawer full of cash every weekend. I'm like, this is amazing. Mm-hmm. But it's so easy to get addicted to that.
Sure.
But in the grand scheme of things, in the music industry as an artist, I wasn't doing shit. I was a local cover band in Rochester, New York.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
how do you keep that in perspective? Because, look, I know people that are very, very well known throughout the country and the world.
Sure.
And they have said fame is addicting.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and that's on a really big level. And I can tell you, like, it's nice when, being on the radio for so many years, you walk into Wegmans and someone's like, hey, right? It's a weird, because it's just you with a shitty grocery list and a coupon for Tampax for your wife that you don't want to get, and somebody recognizes, Yeah. But I mean, what I'm saying is, like, it's a nice feeling, and it's a cool thing to have.
Yeah.
But I always was like, okay, I'm on the radio here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think but you're right. I know some other people in bands, and they often say there are people that really take it too seriously.
Exactly. Especially locally, especially in cover bands. These you go on Facebook and you see these wars in the local music.
Oh my God.
scene.
But what is happening?
I'm like, what is going on? Like, at the end of the day, we're all playing someone else's music. I mean, there's wars between tribute bands. There's wars between this and that, and it's just like, again, like I said, like we're playing other people's music. We're making people happy. It's not the Olympics. This competitive thing never made sense to me, because how do you? It's so subjective. Like, how do you? What do you mean? Who's winning? Who's losing? Why? Because they draw. That means they're the best band in town? No, it doesn't mean that. There's incredible musicians that don't ever see the light of day at Iron Smoke or Buncie's because they can't get a gig.
Yeah.
That are amazing.
Yeah.
It's silly to take this and make it a competitive thing. It's art. There's room for everybody.
Right. And
there's room for everybody.
And I always think too that we have a very a mindset, right? We're in and I wonder if it's a capitalist society. I had this conversation with my son last night where he's like, Marxism was. I go, well, Marxism never worked because everybody became authoritarian. But it was basically like the workers are doing the work, so they should be compensated, right? Where capitalism is, if I open a pizza shop, if my pizza's great, I stay in business, right? And if I suck, I go out of business. If my band's great, I draw. If I don't, I suck. And we take these things now, and now we're divided. Instead of Stevie Ray Vaughan played on Let's Dance with David Bowie.
Awesome.
You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, so, and that was the first concert I ever went to, was Stevie Ray Vaughan, and Henry Lee Summer opened up. I don't know if you remember Henry Lee Summer.
He must have been like a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
What was the song?
God. I'll have to look it up. I'll look it up. But it was something, baby. It was kind of shitty. And then I looked where Henry Lee Summer is now.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Elvio, this poor guy. He was a fucking mess, like in rehab, and just like, and again, it's one of those, it probably was the fame, and you can't handle it.
Yeah.
And I don't know for you, because
I don't know if I answered your question. Your question was something to the effect of, was there any point where you
thought it was going to
derail?
Derail.
So the Uncle Plum thing's blowing up, and I got so comfortable that, I didn't take those risks in my late 20s, early 30s, which was already kind of late in the game,
Yeah.
I just stayed comfortable because this was easy.
Right.
We did an all original CD, and, it was received well, and we did a showcase in New York City for labels, and it just didn't happen. We thought we were getting signed.
Yeah.
Like, the response was great, and for whatever reason, it just didn't happen. And I think maybe at that point, I may have, been at peace with, maybe it's just not in the cards. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. This is great. I got a family. I've got a real estate career. I play acoustic gigs with John Akers and solo gigs, and I got a cool band. Like, this is, that is winning, like, in terms of music.
100%.
Like, the minute you can play an instrument, strum a chord, and get paid anything for it, you won. Most people can't do that.
Amen.
But
that's
people
a really great way to think of it. Yeah.
People are enthralled with the idea of being famous.
Right.
They love, and I say this to the Roc Star Academy kids once a week, it seems. These kids are enthralled with the idea. They think that they can wait in a long line for judges on a reality show, sing for them, and their life's going to change. That's not real. It's not. It's real for 15 minutes. Tell me the last 2 or 3 or 4 people that have won American Idol. You can't.
I can't. No.
Exactly.
No.
And nobody else can either, right?
No.
So things are different, but that's their reality now. And I'm like, no. You have to absolutely love the grind. If you don't love the grind, it ain't happening. I loved the grind. I loved being in the studio. I loved creating music. I loved writing shitty songs until I figured out how to write a good one. I loved playing shithole bars. I loved all of it. And if you love it for the right reasons, the universe does the rest.
I agree.
You have to love the grind or it ain't happening. And these kids don't.
We make it too easy.
Yeah.
You know what it is?
Yeah.
It started with when we got central heating and central air conditioning. Everyone went off into their own fucking space, and now no one talks.
Yeah.
Right? That's where it started. Yeah. Whoever did that, I'm grateful. But because so I think that's a really, really, really well said. You got to love the grind. I know that people get sort of turned off by certain words, but I think like the grind is, while it makes it's just the love of it, getting your hands dirty, right? But doing it with love. And honest to God, sometimes if you just do something with no concern about the outcome, just doing it because you love it, fully to the end, because it was the most inspirational thing at the moment. Yeah. Usually something hits.
You have to do that, and you have to see it. You have to visualize where you see your life going, and continuously. I mean, this, we're getting into the whole manifestation.
I'm a weird guy like that. I go deep.
If you can't see it, and if you can't put that out there and put that energy out there, and then do the work, it ain't happening.
Yeah.
Like, you have to see. If you're one of those people, it'll never happen for me.
Yeah.
Woe is me. I'm not. Why should I waste my time building my social media following? It's a pain in the ass. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to happen then. Like, you just have to do it because you love it, and then the rest works itself out.
So, at what point did you realize for yourself? Because you wrote a song, right? And did you send it to Babyface? I don't remember. I know we've talked about this, but I don't remember exactly. Forgive me.
Well, it wasn't Babyface, but same genre, though.
Why did I think it was Babyface?
Brian McKnight.
Oh, Brian McKnight.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
I could totally see how you would confuse them because, I mean,
the thing will be like, so you think all black people look alike? No, I don't. I don't. Those are two guys that
they're similar type
artists.
Yeah.
Okay, so Brian McKnight.
Yeah. So when Uncle Plum did the all original CD.
Okay.
There was an engineer that worked for Brian McKnight named Chris Wood, who was originally from Rochester. He had friends here in Rochester, and one of them was Mark Provenzano. He plays guitar in a band called Brass Taxi. And Mark sent our CD to Chris Wood, and Chris was like, oh, this is dope. This is great. Chris showed it to Brian McKnight. Brian McKnight says, I want to meet this kid. I'm talking about the singer. Mm-hmm. So I, coincidentally, was already going out west to play in a soccer tournament in Vegas with my buddies. It's the greatest thing ever, dude. It's, oh, my God.
Holy shit.
There's teams from all over the kind of North America, basically, teams from Mexico.
Yeah.
And it's just this shit show of a weekend of a soccer tournament and all these different, like, over 35, over 30, over 40 age groups.
Yeah.
And you just go and you get shit-faced and you have fun and you play soccer. It's so much fun. And I was already going out that way. So I said, okay, I will, add a flight to Burbank. meet with him, and then go back to Vegas.
It's one of my favorite airports. I hate LAX, but
great
Burbank
airport.
is Burbank's the
Awesome.
best.
Yep,
That's the greatest.
So I meet him. I walk in the studio, and he's not there yet. And his engineer, Chris, was there, and we're hanging out. And at the time, there was a kid in the vocal booth laying down a vocal for a song. And I was like, damn, this kid's good. Who is this? And they're like, his name's Ace Young. And I was like, what's his real name? And they're like, Ace. I'm like, come on. All right. I guess his name's Ace. Right? So he comes out of the booth.
Dad was a gambler.
I meet him, and he's a sweetheart, incredible. Like, we're really good friends to this day. And we started writing together. I met Brian that night. Everything went great. Brian was like talking to his basically his assistant. He's like, yeah, let's set it up. We got to do something with this guy. And they had all these plans. We're going to fly you to New York. You're going to work with Matt Serletic, who was the producer of Matchbox 20 at the time.
Oh, really?
And I was like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
You know, I was kind of torn because they really weren't interested in the band. They were
just
more interested in me,
right,
you know.
yeah.
But at that time, again, I'm 30-something years old. I'm like, fuck it. I ain't got time. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, nothing ever happened. But Ace and I became friends. Ace comes to Rochester, stays with me for a couple weeks. We start writing songs. Ace says, I'm going to try out for the show.
Wait, but hold on right there. Because you meet him in the hallway of the studio? Like you're,
in the studio.
Yeah, but you're listening to him, and then you got like
we hit it off.
Like that.
Yeah, we hit it off.
And then you stay in contact. See, that's part of the piece that I think a lot of people miss is you got to be out there to get the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
That meeting doesn't happen if you didn't go, I'm going to take an extra flight from Vegas to go to Burbank.
Correct.
But then at the same time, like this is what I was saying to you before, you have a nice way about you. People like you, and there's something very genuine about your, hey, I'd like to do something with you. Not, let me show you how you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
You know,
he's the same way. Like, he's a sweetheart. Like I
remember him coming in when we were on the radio.
Yep.
Yeah.
I knew instantly this is a good human being. This is a good person. And those are the people I like to work with, you know, and it just, one thing led to another. And I was like, dude, come to Rochester. Let's write some tunes. Let's work, you know, and he did. And he stayed with me and my wife for 2 weeks. Wow. My kids were little. He was amazing with my kids. He'd be out in the backyard throwing football, you know, like just playing with them, and just a wonderful human being. And then one day he was like, dude, nothing was happening with his career. And he was amazing. He's a really good singer. And he said, I think I'm going to try out for this show, this American Idol show. I was like, dude, do it. What do you got to lose? Go. So he tries out for the show. Early on, he's one of the favorites to win the whole thing.
Yeah, he is.
But fast forward, him and Chris become friends on the show. Okay. And so he starts showing Chris the work that we were doing in my studio. So Chris was like, yeah, this is good. You know, like, who is this guy? And he was, so Chris knew about me through Ace.
Okay.
And when they finish American Idol, they do that Idol tour.
Yeah.
So I would go
Were they the top 10, Ace and Chris at this point?
Ace finished 6th, I think, 6th or 7th. Chris finished 4th.
Okay.
But they do that tour, and I went to a few of those to support my buddy Ace, and I met everyone. Became friends with, like, Elliot Yamin and Catherine McPhee and Kelly Pickler.
I thought Catherine McPhee was kind of hot.
You ain't lying. And, Chris and all of them, right? So we would stay in contact. And now, fast forward, Chris blows up. 2006, the debut Daughtry album comes out. It's the fastest selling rock album in SoundScan history. It was It was huge. He was all over Hot AC.
Yeah.
It was The Drive at the time, 100.5,
yeah.
and like just blowing up, nominated for Grammy, all this stuff. And we would stay in contact via text. And Ace and I ended up writing this song with another friend, a local friend of mine named Greg Wiktorski, really talented, great dude. We wrote this song. We were like, man, this sounds like a Daughtry song. Let's send it to him. So we sent it to Chris. The timing was all fucked up because they had just released their second album at the time. So it was too late, right? But what it did was solidify, these guys know what they're doing, right? So again, we stay in contact. And then one day I said to Chris, I go, hey, do you have any unfinished song ideas that you like that you might just want another perspective on? And he was like, yeah, I do actually. I'm going to send you this idea. It's called Crazy. I think it's just a chorus. And I got a verse idea, but I don't love the chords or whatever. He sent it to me, and I finished the song and sent it back to him. And that song started everything. Wow. That song ended up on the third Daughtry album, and it went gold. I have a gold record on my wall from that song.
That is so...
Bill, if it ended there, I'm good.
Sure.
Like, as a songwriter, as somebody, wanting to be in the big leagues, I just wrote a song that is on a major release of a major artist. Like I was at Remax when I got the call, and he's like, the song's on the album. I was like,
you were
oh my
doing,
God.
You were doing real estate.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So that happens. And then I'm showing a house to this young couple. It was like off of Ridgeway Avenue. It was a shithole. It was probably like, I don't even remember, like $50,000 house. And just grinding away. And my phone's sitting on the countertop, and it rings, and it says Chris Daughtry. And again, at the time, he's a very popular person.
Yes.
And they're looking at the phone. They're looking at me. They're looking at the phone. They're looking at me. They're like, are you going to answer that? I was like, yeah, hold on a second.
Because if you don't, we will.
Yeah. So I answer it, and he's like, hey, man, we're getting ready to go on tour to support Break the Spell, the third album. And there's a lot of keyboards and background vocals and acoustic guitars. We want to add a utility guy. Are you interested? And I was like, man, I would love to, but I can't. I have little kids. I got a mortgage, car payments, a wife. How am I going to go on the road?
Yeah, this is a holy shit moment.
Yeah, and I turned it down, basically. I was like, I can't. I appreciate it. And that was it. And I went home that night, and my wife, I said to my wife, we were sitting having dinner. I said, guess who called me today? She's like, who? I go, Chris Daughtry. She's like, what'd he say? He wants me to go on tour with him. So what'd you say? I said, no. How are we going to do that? Our kids are little, like, that's not even possible.
Yeah. And
she's just looking at me. And she goes, listen, we have family here. I got this. I know who I married. Call him back. You need to try this. You're 38. This may never happen again. So, you're going to resent me. You're going to resent your life if you don't give this a shot.
Boy, I'll tell you,
she's the fucking rock star, not me, dude.
Well,
like, seriously.
Because that's not the response I think a lot of people would think. And I bet you, and I don't know, and maybe you'll never really know, but I would bet you that there are other people that were close to you that subtly expected you to move on from the dream.
Oh, absolutely.
Because of where you are.
I mean,
hey, just a little late.
I wouldn't blame them.
Right.
Yeah.
And I actually think, to me, it's more inspiring, but it shows you how important it is to pick the right partner in your life.
Bro, I've had ex-girlfriends, and some I still in contact with today. My wife's even, friendly with them. It's fine. And they have said, I would have never, ever been able to deal with that.
Yeah.
And that's okay, right? Like, that wasn't your dream. That's not what you signed up for in wanting a partner.
Right.
And my wife's very independent and strong. And like I said, this does not happen without her blessing. And
right. Because, again, you're 38, not 22, and you have responsibilities.
Yeah.
And to me, that changes the risk completely on so many levels.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
There was a weight off of my, like, okay, she actually wants me to try this.
Yeah.
And at the time,
she just wanted you out of the house for a little while.
That's true too. That is true too. But at the time, also my real estate, we had formed a team at Remax, so I had partners, real estate partners, and they were like, but again, same, like their support meant everything because they knew I was a musician at heart. They knew that, and they said, "We'll give you 6 months, and in 6 months you got to make a decision because we have to move on." And
yeah, sure.
I was like, I get it, yeah, absolutely. But
that's
before I even left for Daughtry, though, before I even left for the audition, it almost didn't happen at all.
Why?
Okay, so I don't tell this part of the story a lot, but this is real. And again, this is actually a lesson in thinking out of the box. And sometimes you got to not only take risks, but you have to constantly make moves that might not be the traditional path towards success to make things happen, right? Loving the grind.
Right.
So the band at the time, you got to understand, like, I'm way more sensitive to it now because I've been in the band the second longest behind the guitar player now. So, the drummers knew, the bass players knew, and Brian and I have been in the band the longest outside of Chris, obviously. And it's a family.
Yeah.
And you've got to not only be good at your job, but you got to be a good hang. You got to be able to live with 5 other people on a bus when, people are in bad moods, people are missing their families. There's nowhere to go to get away. You're on a little bus. So, that's a big part of it. So entering that family it's not easy. Like, they didn't think they needed, I was an addition. I wasn't replacing anybody. They were a 5-piece band at the time. They added me. They didn't think the band didn't think it was needed.
But Chris did.
Chris was, getting advice from his producer, and he kind of thought they did, but he was also very sensitive to his boys. That's his family.
Right.
So it almost didn't happen. And I remember, he makes me this offer, and then, nothing was happening. And I reached out. I was like, hey, we still doing this? Like, when do you want me to come out and audition? He's like, yeah, dude, I don't know, man. The boys, they're just not, they don't think we need it. It may not happen. I'm in a tough spot here. I was like, fuck, like, what can I do here? What can I do? Because I get it. I get their perspective, right?
Yeah, but man.
And they're thinking, another guy, they're probably thinking this guy's going to be tapping into my money now.
Yep.
I get it. I completely get it. So I start thinking out of the box. And I'm like, how do I show these guys that I will be value added, right? So I went and found on YouTube a bunch of videos of Chris going to radio stations, getting interviewed, and then he'd have his acoustic guitar, and he would play whatever the hit was at the time, It's Not Over, or Home, or September, or any one of those songs, solo by himself on the guitar at the radio station. And I found this app where I could extract the audio. Back then, it was a lot harder to do that.
Yes, it was.
I extracted the audio from these YouTube clips, and I went in the studio. I sang every harmony on the record. I played piano parts that didn't exist for the songs to enhance the songs, and mixed it and sent it back.
That's a risk, dude.
Huge risk.
Because, I mean, you're taking someone's art and doing exactly what he said the job was going to be.
Yeah.
Right? That's what he did. And they don't want you. And they could hear this and go, ugh, right? I mean, it's a fucking risk.
But how else was I going to...
I don't know.
How else was I going to get them to hear what it would sound like with me in the mix without doing something like that? If they're not going to fly me out, I got no shot, right? So I took, it was like 3 songs, and, there's a lot of harmonies in Daughtry's music, right? There's a lot of background vocals, a lot of, and I made sure I nailed those. I played some cool piano parts. I wasn't trying to be the one, but I was just doing what my role was going to be, and I sent it back. And he played it for the producer at the time, Howard Benson, this famous Grammy-nominated Grammy-winning producer, produced some huge records. And Howard was like, man, your voices sound great together. And Chris then would play those for the band.
Okay.
And they wouldn't say anything, and he'd play them, and the band was like, oh, that sounds cool. What's that? He's like, yeah, that's the guy you guys don't want me to audition. And they were like, oh, okay. And then that got me the audition.
What made you think to do that?
I don't know, Bill. Honestly, I don't even know. I'm not even going to give myself credit for thinking of it. I think it was just one of those universe things. Like, it just came to me.
Yeah.
And again, had I not done that, I don't think we'd be here today. I don't think that it would have happened. I don't think they would have flown me out to audition.
Wow. That's really, really cool. But again, it's about, you and a passion and a love for making it happen, and, having your wife who, I had seen them in concert before all this with my wife. Yeah.
In their peak, and they're not the peak, but when they first came out. And I remember we saw them in Toronto, and I remember being in the audience and seeing it and saying to myself, I know I could be value added in this band. I could see myself up there. They're not doing this harmony or that harmony, or like I know what my skill set is. I think I could, like, it wasn't like they needed me, but I knew that I could help, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
when I don't want the word help, like, they didn't need my help, but I knew that I could be value added.
Fill it out.
Yeah. And
right.
And
make it a fuller sound. Yeah.
I saw it. And the next thing you know, you find yourself in that situation. It's like,
man, that's
real.
That's crazy. And I would say, like, while you're on the road, your wife has carried a lot of the
oh my God,
things emotionally and things.
Yeah.
And yet everything's great.
I am extremely blessed that my kids and my wife do not hold this against me. It's never, like when you see in the movies, like, you were never there for me, Dad.
Yeah, I know.
I never, ever get that. My kids are extremely supportive, and, I hope that.
Was there anything that was really hard to miss while you were touring?
Dude, tons. I've missed birthdays. I've missed games. I've missed so many things. And I don't think they struggle with it. I struggle with it. I'm the one in the hotel room staring at the ceiling going, are you the most selfish motherfucker on the planet? What are you doing? What are you doing? Go home and be a dad and a husband. Like, stop, that struggle's real, man. Your mind can play fucking games with you.
Well, guilt's a ugly thing, and I don't know how you balance guilt with sort of the gratitude of having the opportunity to do what you have loved.
Yeah.
right? And that's a tough balance to find.
Yeah.
Because you're grateful for all of it,
Yeah.
and it's provided well, but then you go, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people
But at what
fantasize.
price, right?
Right.
You know, that's the thing.
Yeah.
So, and I can't sit here and say, am I better off now, or should I have stuck with real estate? I mean, you can make a lot of money in real estate and invest and do all these things. And I might have been better off had I stayed with real estate. I don't know.
Boring.
It is.
I know.
And to be honest with you,
just by comparison.
and to be honest with you, very, very successful real estate agents work 80 hours a week.
Yeah, they do.
They don't see their families either.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate to do what I love to do and provide for my family, you know?
Well, you talk about like the kids at Roc Star Academy, right?
Yeah.
They want to be famous. They want to do a world tour.
Yeah.
And they're not thinking about the airports and the loneliness and the bad sleep in a hotel. And like you said, missing birthdays and eating chicken fingers at some shitty casino at 1 a.m.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
All
yeah.
that stuff.
That's real.
But what part of Roc Star life is way less glamorous than I think most people would even envision?
Yeah.
Is it? I don't know.
The travel sometimes. The travel's brutal.
Yeah.
You know, like we just did a European tour. It was from like January 15th through like March 6th. It was a long one. And sometimes getting to these, you know, in the UK, going to Scotland and going to these places, you got to take these ferries. And, you know, you do a gig and you sleep 3 hours and you got to be at the airport. And, you know, the travel can be brutal for sure. Some of the venues can be these old theaters with terrible accommodations. And you look at the shower and you're like, hell no. That's
Ew.
disgusting. Who has showered in here? You know, it's not glitz and glamour all the time. Now, there are times where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this is my life. This is great. But believe me, there's many times where it's not. And you're exhausted and, you know.
Yeah.
It just is what it is.
I,
Catering sucks. You're like, oh my God, I can't eat this shit. Like, it's terrible. Yeah.
There was a time when I have a guilty pleasure, and I love Hall & Oates, and I know
So
they're
do
not.
I.
I know they're not together anymore.
Oh, those songs are bangers. I mean,
Well, I'm tired of pretending those songs don't slap.
They're awesome.
They're great. I mean, a Man Eater I could live without, but the rest of it, you know. But one of my favorite moments was when I knew they hold back seats, and I think Brother Weiss has shared this with everybody.
Yeah.
They hold back seats for friends and family of the band.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking for seats, and I called you, and you're like, I don't know if I know anybody. And then all of a sudden you're calling to me. I'm like, oh my God, he officially made it. I just got great seats to see Hall & Oates because it was Elvio who knew the drummer who
keyboard player
player or whatever. And I'm like, wow. And it's funny because those were people that Daryl Hall would come in to the deli I worked at as a kid.
Yeah.
It was Adams Fairclough Farms, and he was down in Pawling, New York area, and he'd just come up. And then he stopped coming in because but he was so tall, you couldn't, he's a tall guy.
Yeah. Yes, he's a big man. I have
and-
a picture with him. I look like a kid.
And it's funny because I remember at that show too, something went wrong.
Oh,
And
that's
he
very
was-
common.
He was losing his shit.
Oh, yeah.
Like quietly losing. Like I could see the frustration, and he's looking off to the side and he's gesturing, and then the song's just starting, and they just went, and everything was fine.
Yeah.
But do you know what's going on with those two?
Okay.
Are you allowed to say? I don't want to put you in this.
I think it's pretty public knowledge that there's just conflicts over just the creative process and splits, and it's all about money at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's something to the effect that John didn't contribute as much as Daryl in terms of the creative process and writing and stuff like that. I think that's what Daryl's alleging, you know, and
sure.
it just, when it gets to that point, it's over, you know, and it got ugly.
Yeah.
But I don't know the intricate details, but I think that's the gist of it.
I wish that he would do a live audience for Daryl's house.
Yeah.
Instead, because he has a place called Daryl's house.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, were you?
Yeah, Chris played. Chris was on. Chris was on live from Daryl's house, and I was there.
Yeah.
I was supposed to play.
Yeah.
And Daryl nixed it
Why?
because apparently the week before, the OJs were on or something like that, and their keyboard player was a big pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And Daryl's like, "That's it. Never again. I'm just dealing with the fucking artists. I'm not dealing with these band guys or whatever." So it was like, bummer. bro, I'm a good guy. I promise I won't be a pain in the ass.
Right.
But I became friends with Elliot, who was the keyboard player at the time. And he just played here like a week ago. My wife and I went to see him. He played at the Record Archive.
Did he really?
Yeah, Elliot, the old keyboard. He's not with him anymore.
Okay.
The old keyboard player for Hall & Oates. And that's who got the tickets.
Yes.
At one point, he reached out to me about taking that gig because he was considering leaving. And he's like, I think you'd be great for it. And I was just like, I've heard too many stories. I'm
he
good.
Seems like he'd be a little difficult,
Yeah.
Daryl. Yeah. And John Oates had one song.
He's a sweetheart.
Yeah. I heard that.
We did a show with him at the
Big
Ryman.
wrestler, like back in the day, right?
Yeah.
College, I think.
Kind of looks like one.
Yeah, he's wrestling with that mustache on his face. My God. Musicians, do they ever struggle with wondering if, and you sort of say this with the local bands, right, that are doing covers. Do you think that you ever struggle with they are the music, not so much the muse that delivers the music? Like, if music stopped tomorrow, who are you, right? And that's a tough thing sometimes to wrestle with.
It is. There's a lot of people that's the only thing they know. It's the only thing they've ever done. And you see these artists, like, when their careers go to nothing, they can't handle it. Mm. They end up killing themselves.
Yeah, they do.
Falling into addiction or whatever.
Right.
It's such a big part of their identity.
Yeah.
That, I don't see myself that way. I have a lot of other interests and things like that. But yeah,
you're really well balanced and at least to me, you come across very grounded.
But I'm also not at that level. I'm not Kurt Cobain. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just a guy that plays in a band. You know, that's how I look at it.
But okay, yeah. I mean, I guess that's fair. Once you get inside the machine with Daughtry, right? What sort of surprised you most about Chris Daughtry that you didn't know or that you saw that you're like, wow, yeah, okay, this guy's... Because it's not easy.
No, it's not. I will say this. And, people's opinions about musicians and things like that, again, it's such a subjective thing. But as a songwriter and as a vocalist, he's incredible. I will sit here. I've been in the studio with him. I've written songs with him. I've sing with him every single night on almost every single song we sing together. He's, for me, in terms of the current rock scene, they call us active rock, I guess, or whatever. Or back in the day, it was dad rock or whatever people like to call it. He's for me, he's the best. He has so many different layers to his voice, so many different emotions that he can deliver on a song, from, a soft ballad to blood-curdling screams. He's got all these layers. A lot of people don't have that. And as a writer, he's got a great sense of melody. He's great to work with, but he's a good dude. And this guy's gone through a lot in his life. And to see him keep his shit together, he lost his daughter. I mean, it's very documented. He lost his daughter. He lost his mother a couple weeks later. I can't remember if it was his mom first, but he's gone through a lot of things in his life, and he's stoic. He still gets the job done. He doesn't wear it. Like, he's he's strong, dude. It's
because there's a lot of pressure, right? Just being a rock star, but
especially coming from a reality show. He doesn't get the respect.
Right. I didn't even think of that.
It's constant.
Never even thought of that.
It's constant.
That has to be so
Every
much.
meet and greet, there's somebody, I voted for you, and it's like,
reminding you, like, your work ethic means nothing.
I'm your biggest fan, and they have, like, album number 2 to sign, and meanwhile we have 6 albums already and 3 number 1s off this last one, and they don't even know about it. That's the hard part. Now, I say that's the hard part, but that's also, we live in our band sits in a space that we're actually fortunate in a lot of ways, because we can go play a big casino somewhere and also play a current hip, like, Download Fest in London.
Yeah.
A lot of bands can't do both.
Right.
So in terms of work, we'll always get work, but it's, for him, it's frustrating because he's trying to, I don't want to say shed the skin. He doesn't forget where he came from, but the newer music, the direction that we've gone to since we left the label is working, and it's more of what he's always wanted to do, and he's really proud of it. So he wants, true fans to follow us all along the way, not just the idle years. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Well, I think too, you can't get to that level and maintain without work ethic and humility. You just can.
Yeah.
And having a real level of professionalism.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, it's like this stuff is a job, and I think sometimes people see it as something that is glamorous and fun, and everybody's so happy to see you. And I go, yeah, you can't maintain that though unless you're working your ass off.
Yeah, and people are, you know how this is. People are so cruel and judgmental when it comes to their one interaction with a celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
And, we could be, we could be walking out of a situation or a venue or whatever to a car because we're late for an interview that we can't be late for or something. And somebody's like, Chris, can you sign these 4, whatever? We can't, we got to go to that person for the rest of their lives. Everybody they talk to, Chris Daughtry was an asshole. He didn't sign, it's like, that's not fair.
No, it's not.
You don't know what that person's going through or what the situation is. You cannot do that. That's not.
I even remember years ago when Steve Harvey put out a memo.
Steve Harvey's awesome.
Well, I love Steve Harvey, right? But I loved his stand-up. And he put out a memo because he was doing a nationally syndicated morning radio show.
Yeah.
And then he had sometimes he had a talk show, a daytime talk show. And then, of course, he would go down, and I think they shot like a year's worth of Family Feud in a month or whatever, right, down in Orlando. And so there was an internal memo that got leaked, and they're like, don't stop Steve in the hallway. If you have, don't, like, you can't approach Steve in the hallway was the thing. And I remember everybody in media go, what a fucking asshole. And I may have been the only one who goes, no, I get it. You've got places you have to be, people that are relying on you to be there that can't do their job unless you're there to do your job. And you're going to get pissed at me because a conversation that A, means fucking nothing, or could be an email, has to be a hallway conversation. You know what I'm saying?
That's a very common thing in the music world.
I'm sure it is. I get it.
When Daughtry, right before I joined, they did an arena tour opening for Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
And
wow, that's a fucking nice song, right?
When Bon Jovi, when John
saw him at the Knicks game last night, singing along with his own song in the stands. They showed it. They go, look at Bon Jovi singing along with it, because I think it was "Living Out a Prayer" or something, right?
Yeah.
Arena Rock.
Good for him.
I thought the same.
That's a banger, dude.
I thought the same thing. Yeah. I'm like, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to talk about somebody who's gone through a lot of shit?
Oh,
and that's another one. And I will, not to get off topic, but I was guilty of it. Like, there's so much footage of him when he was struggling that just sounded awful.
Yeah.
And it's easy to be like, oh my God, dude, just stop, just retire. Like, what are you doing? Your legacy, like, this sounds terrible.
Right.
You know what kind of pressure he's under in terms of how many families rely on him?
Mm.
But you know how big Bon Jovi's crew is?
See, that's the stuff that
50, 60, 70 people deep, probably between techs, between assistants, between you name
drivers,
it. That all have families.
The hauling
the
company,
truck drivers, everybody, right?
Yeah.
If he just says, I'm done,
yeah,
that's a lot of people that are affected.
Yeah.
Instead, he had a major issue with his vocal cords. It was like paralyzed.
Yeah.
Could not hit the notes. And he's not an idiot. He sees these videos. He's stronger than me. If I saw me sounding like that, I don't know that I would be strong enough to just be okay with it and fight through it. Like, that's a shot to your ego. And he went and got surgery, and he doesn't sound anything like he used to. He cannot do what he used to do, but he's doing it the best he can, and he's fighting for it.
Yeah.
I respect that immensely.
Sure.
You know how many people are like, oh my God, like making fun of him. And like, you don't know that pressure. You don't know how many people rely on him. Like, you can't.
I don't think anybody has ever said that.
No.
That I've heard. I've never heard anybody say what you just said, because you're right. You have a crew. And I remember talking to stagehands and stuff, and they're like, yeah, I used to be part of so-and-so's tour.
Yeah.
I did this tour. Or I did every tour with Kiss, whatever it was, right? And we could all go, I'm not a Kiss fan, whatever. Those silly little things, like they're shooting smoke bombs.
Not even a little bit.
But there's a ton of people that were making their living off Kiss existing.
Yeah.
And I don't think we ever really think about that.
How about we do this as human beings? Just respect that maybe he wants to continue.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Brady should have retired. Maybe Tom Brady wanted to play. It's Tom's right to, like, I'm 54 years old. I still play soccer. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. My dad, why are you still playing? You're going to get hurt. I'll let you know when I'm done playing. Tua, okay?
Yeah.
Tua needs to retire. What's going on? Tua went and said, this is what I love to do.
Right.
I am willing to die doing what I love to do.
Apparently, I do worry about that.
And my family supports that. But the thing is like, it's not up to the fan. It's not up to us to decide when the guy should retire or shouldn't retire. Like, but did Michael Jordan go too long? He wanted to play. He felt like he could still play. Let's respect that.
Even when he was with the Wizards, by the way, he put up some pretty good stats.
Yeah. John Bon Jovi wants to continue to sing.
Yeah.
And you could take any legacy artist that just can't do what they used to do. Like, I respect Steve Perry for not doing it because he knows that he can't do it. Right. Robert Plant knows he's not going to sing those Zeppelin songs. Oh, God. So they reinvent themselves and do something different. I respect that.
I do too. And I know Robert Plant had a weird moment at CMAC last summer or 2 summers ago.
I don't even know about that.
Well, no one really does. And I probably shouldn't either, but I will share the story now.
Okay.
Because I knew a security guard down there.
Yeah.
Someone during sound check, a guy got in, and he came running up on stage and gave Robert a hug and like really freaked him out.
Well, it should. That's not cool.
Yeah. And
you don't know what these people are capable of.
100%.
Yeah.
And he went on and did the show, but I think like they really tightened stuff. And
that's a security breach.
How bad is it? Like you go, it's, the world we live in now, you just never know.
No, dude, Dimebag Darrell got shot on stage.
I know.
Like, I mean, fans are nuts, and that can't happen.
What is harder, writing a great song or having the confidence to believe it's great, even if other people are kind of like, and you just know it in your heart? Because you hear songs like that have become part of the fabric of our lives, right? And then you find out, hey, no one liked that song when it was first released.
Yeah. What makes a hit song? What makes a hit song is the machine makes it a hit.
Yeah.
The machine being radio,
I was all right. So that's right there.
Surveys and bullshit that means
we're
nothing.
not out of a meritocracy here right now. It just isn't, right? It was always record label reps pushing you, and there was incentives to take things, and that's where a lot of guys got in trouble in radio back in the early 2000s. One of them was a guy I worked with who took a lot of ski trips.
Yep. People love to say, people that don't do this for a living love to say, "Oh my God, listen to a Taylor Swift song. Listen to these lyrics. They're simple chords. Like, it's so easy to write a hit song." Is it? If it was easy to write a hit song, I'd have 1,000 of them. Yeah. You don't think I want to write a hit every time I write a song?
Yeah.
It's not easy at all, because it's not just about how great the song is. It's about timing. Mm-hmm. Who else is releasing music at that time that you're competing with that could potentially go number one instead of you? I mean, one of the songs that Chris and I, and actually another, a lot of the songs I write with Daughtry, I write with a local friend of mine, another kid here from Rochester, Johnny Cummings. You know the band Something Else?
Yeah.
Johnny and I have an incredible working relationship in the studio. Like, it's a very personal thing when you're writing music.
Yeah.
He and I just get each other, and it just works. And he's been a part of, I think, 3 or 4 Daughtry songs that I've written.
Really?
Yep. And I celebrate every ounce of it because he's so fucking good.
Yeah.
And he gets me and I get him. And then, I know Chris. So I know what Chris is going to like. I mean, I think I do sometimes. And I know what he's going to want to relate to and things that have gone on in his life. So it's a really good writing relationship. But anyways, one of the songs that we wrote was a song called Heavy as the Crown. It was my first hit song as a songwriter.
Yeah, I remember that song.
Peaked at number 4 on the Billboard rock charts. It was a top 5. And in my opinion, that's a number 1 all day.
Sure.
All day long in terms of the lyric, the way that people react to it when we play it live. But it came out at a time where we were competing with, it might have been Shinedown, it might have been Papa Roach, it might have been, it's timing, Disturbed. If they all release at the same time, good luck, So
this is why sometimes we'll hear like release dates held back.
Yeah.
Would that be why?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
I never thought of that.
It's just a strategic thing. But so going back to your question, what's easier, writing a hit song or having the confidence to, I believe I'm not one of those writers that, it's not a volume game for me. I'm not like, I hear these people all the time. I wrote 300 songs in 2 months. Okay, cool. How many are good? Like, who gives a, I can write 300 songs in 2 months too, but it doesn't mean they're going to be good. I am more of, if I have an idea that I really feel strongly about, I'll finish that. I'll go forward with it, because in my gut, during the entire process of this song, I feel in my gut that it's a hit.
Yeah.
Or that it's a great song. If I don't feel it, if anything about it that's like, I'm not really feeling this, I abort ship and start over. I don't.
Okay.
I don't need to finish a song if my gut isn't saying this is a good one.
There's an intuitiveness to it.
Yeah. So to me, the hardest part is writing a hit song, because I don't have after I've written the song, or I've, whoever we've collaborated with has written the song, we have no control over the machine that makes hit songs. I can't control the politics of radio.
Right.
I can't control, all of that. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's very difficult to write a hit song from that perspective.
And I don't know, and I'm not trying to, because I know there's a lot of people that, haven't been a former radio person. I often say that if radio went back to more of a local model, I think it would be hugely successful.
Yes.
And make a lot of money. The problem is that they got too big, and at one point I was on 80 stations around the country, and in cities I don't know anything about, talking to people and trying to interact and make it sound live, because you taped it on Wednesday and it's not airing until Saturday, and this sort of thing. And I think that model has hurt radio. But I don't know, are they the place that music is discovered today as much? And I don't really know the answer to that. I'm not trying to. Because you have so many other, right? Spotify's very big. YouTube Music is big. Apple's got its thing, and go on from there. I'm sure there's
Satellite.
Satellite is one, and I enjoy that.
Octane's big for us. That station, back in the day was the Pulse or whatever, but Octane is big for us. But I think it depends on the market. In big markets, rock radio is still a thing.
Sure.
Here, no.
Yeah.
And it's evident anytime somebody, this happens all the time. People come up to me, they'll be like, with their, the Rochester accent, "Hey, you still playing with that guy Daughtry or Daughtry?" And I'm like, "Yeah." "Is he doing anything?" I'm like, "Is he doing anything?" We had 3 number ones off this last record.
Oh my God.
3. I had my first number one as a songwriter.
Yeah.
Off of this record.
Yeah.
And nobody knows, because we don't have a station that plays active rock. We do now-ish, and don't get me started on this. And I'm not trying to. Here's what I don't understand.
Yeah. Here we go.
Here's what I don't understand, and I've had conversations with some mutual friends of ours that in 2024, Daughtry was the most. This is a fact. The most played rock band on rock radio, ahead of Green Day. Shit was going. It's going well. Our songs are being well received. The most played rock band on rock radio. We can't see the light of day on the local station that plays bands that open for us. It plays bands that have not even come close to the same success that we've had. We've had number ones. And not only is it a local story, there's 2 guys that live in Rochester that wrote.
Is this a station that is still...
Yes.
Operating as it was.
Yeah.
Is it like the original home of?
Yeah, it could be.
Okay, all right.
I'm not trying to, and again,
it was my original home here.
I'm not trying to be
no,
bitter.
I get it.
Bitter, but it doesn't make sense to me, because not only do we have songs that warrant placement, because if you're going to play bands that aren't charting as high as we are, and bands that are not at the same level in terms of popularity, and bands that open for us, I guess, why aren't you playing us? If we have bona fide hits in that genre.
Right.
And then there's a local connect that would be a talking point for the DJ. It's kind of a feel-good thing, right? You would think.
100%.
Now, the song that just went number one that I was blessed to co-write with Johnny and Chris, a song called The Bottom. That was our first Billboard number one for me as a songwriter. Daughtry had a couple other number ones last year, but this one I co-wrote. What a great feeling. And they did end up playing that song for a cup of coffee. It was a couple weeks or whatever. Now it's gone. But every single day, I'll hear the same song 6 times. And it's not even the biggest song of that artist. But what it tells me is there's a formula, there's these surveys, there's these things that are, for whatever reason.
It's also not locally programmed anymore.
Yeah, it's got...
that's the thing, too, because now it's a big company. And that's where I'm saying, you lost that. There were bands, artists that became big in a region,
Yeah.
and people were like, "Oh my God, you got to hear this,"
Yeah.
because some DJ in Memphis discovered them and played them, and
Yeah.
that is to me the art of radio that is gone.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that really sucks, because you're right. There should be a huge recognition for.
Why wouldn't you want to celebrate that?
A ton,
right?
And it makes no sense to me.
I get paranoid because now I'm like, I must. Somebody in that organization is not happy with me, or
No.
I spent a lot of years
I know.
filling in, and it's no secret that I actually wanted that life for a long time before the Daughtry thing, and thought it was going to happen over and over again, and it just never happened.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's
Yeah.
fine too. Like, it just wasn't in the cards, and
I think you got it better in the end.
I think,
Yeah, I do.
but man, there was a time, bro, I wanted that so badly, and had meetings with Legret and all these people, and it's happening, and then it never happened. And I was like, maybe I'm not as good as people think. No, it could be. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, I was great at it.
I don't think so. I think a lot of times these things take time. They're trying to add, budgets are what they are. You've already got, established hosts who's a lot of money,
Sure.
and which is deserved, please.
Yeah.
But I think all that stuff takes stuff, and then there's the politics, and that's the problem. Everything has to be run up the flagpole. So when I was over and Weiss had left, I had put together a deal where Tommy and I would own the show.
Yeah.
And we would get paid one lump sum from the company, and we could hire who we wanted. And because I was tired of listening to them do this stuff, and I had an agent, and he put that together, and they shot it down. Like, not shot it down. A local guy rose up in the company, called me in his office, and goes, "That'll never happen under my watch." And I went, okay. So then we were going to go across the street.
Yep.
My agent calls me and goes, "I saw the proposal. Same guy you mentioned earlier. Going to New York. This is going to happen. Here's their plan, blah, blah, blah." I go, great. And they get to New York, and it was a hiring freeze for that company. So, I mean, again, you talk about timing.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Sure.
My son has been going into recording studios. Oops, hang on. Downtown. And
That's awesome.
Yeah, doing like a lot of rap stuff. I don't know if it's any good. I really don't. He sometimes will use GarageBand.
Yeah.
And he'll go in a closet and record it through his iPhone and
Love
stuff.
it.
There's a lot of pain right now.
Yeah.
Right? You're 16, you're a lot of pain. He wrote this song, and I take a risk and we'll play it. I don't even know how the lyrics are or not in terms of like language and things, but not that it's going to matter here. But I heard this song and I was like, wow, I could see this on like a really relatable to young kids. I don't know if he's the person to sing it.
Sure.
I'm not really sure. He sent me a couple other songs. He goes, "Are you really going to play that for him?" I go, "I'll play the one." I said, it was a song that I could kind of, even at my age, relate to. I was like, this is interesting. So it's Jameson. I think there's a lot of auto-tune on here.
It's okay. That's the style.
Think about the times you would kiss me, cause I do. Do you miss what we had and you want it back? Because I do. Do you think about the times that we had fun? Because I do. I wish it's easy as a text, but it's you. And I'm still thinking about you. Instead of calling, I'll go write some songs inside of my room. Cause I'm so fucked up. Fucked up because of you. But it's my fault that you left and it left me with a bruise. Was I not tolerable? I still imagine us together. I'm delusional. I see you inside the classroom making suicidal. Do you think about me? Is that even possible? Why is there so many obstacles? Do you miss me? Do you think about the love when you would kiss me? Cause I do. Do you miss what we had and you want it back? Because I do. Do you think about them times that we had fun? Because I do. I wish it's easy as a text, but it's you. Is that the way you act now? Are you gonna start leaving me inside the background? Treat me like I'm dead, I'm dead. Maybe I'm in my head again.
There you go.
Dude,
Yeah.
I like that. There's so much.
I did too, Elvio, but I'm his dad, so I don't.
I know.
But
Here's what I like about it. What I like about it is first of all the courage for him to do it.
Yeah.
To just do that and to be okay with you sharing that. That, like, most people can't get past that, right? And clearly he's going through stuff, and that's what makes great songs. Last night I was at, like I said, Mulconry's, and we had 2 kids that are doing really well in the local scene, Reed Burton and Anthony Blood. And Reed said to me, I'm going in the studio with Graham at Roc Star Academy, and I'm going to start recording. And I was like, that's awesome. He's like, yeah, we've been talking about him doing originals for a long time. And I looked at him and I said, you got some shit to say? He's like, yeah. I go, well, good, because nobody wants to hear bullshit. Like, make me feel something, right? Mm-hmm. Clearly, Jameson's going through some stuff.
Yeah. You can feel it, right, in that song. I mean, I really felt that. I haven't heard this one. Did I take a risk and play it?
Sure.
It's called No Cap.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
It's these, this how the kids talk these days.
Some long intro here, James.
I like this track.
Yeah, I don't know who I am without the drugs in me. I was only like 12 in police custody. I always try to help, but you just cuss at me. And I just wanna love while you fuss at me. Damn, June, I can't believe they drew down on you. I spent through the village, GK shot 60 rounds for you. 3 had died on that same night, we set them down for you. I do it all again if they keep talking down on you. The drugs ain't fixing my bad habits, bitch had left me for it. I go call my brother, mom said go talk to the Lord. Top kid, I feel like Jace on the top floor. You was in your mammy house when we would shoot out Tahoes. Coach take me up off the bench, I control rock, bro. I ain't never been the same since I first touched that Glock, bro. I bitch called 12, I fucked that thigh hoe. There's 5 demons stuffed inside this fucking Monte Carlo.
Well, I don't know if I like all hearing on this.
So, yeah, I'm like, okay. I'm thinking, what is Bill thinking right now?
Bill was getting a little nervous.
To me, this
about
is
Glocks
very fictional. Clearly.
Yeah, well, I have to say,
pretty sure he's not playing with Glocks and things like that.
I don't know that wasn't always the case before he came back.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
and some stuff.
Okay. Well, again, it's real. Like if he ever wants, and I'm not, here's the other thing too. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that this is my genre and I know what's happening in the hip hop scene. I don't. My kids do. Both my kids just flew to LA and saw Kanye.
Did they really?
At SoFi. They said it was the most incredible thing they've ever seen.
Yeah.
It was incredible. But I don't, this isn't my genre, but I would be happy to give him my advice in terms of just some of the technical things about so in that first song that you played, it's not really a rap. He's singing pretty much the most of the time.
Right.
And he's singing in a similar range the entire song. The verse, the chorus is all in this kind of 2-note range. Mm-hmm. That's cool, but it gets repetitive. So you need to, need to be more dynamic, right? So, maybe sing some lower notes, and when the chorus hits, go up a little higher so that there's a little bit of a lift and that the listener can say, oh, okay, we're at the chorus now we're going back to the verse. You're taking them on a ride. Mm-hmm. If it stays in one spot the whole time, you can lose the listener, right? Yeah. So that's just little technical things like that. I'm assuming, is he making these tracks or is he downloading pre-existing tracks that he just sings over them?
I don't know.
If he's creating the music,
some of
that's pretty insane.
Some of that I think there is, and I know he made some beats for some other local rappers.
Oh, that's cool.
That used it at this studio off of I don't know. It's down by the Coca-Cola plant there and along the Genesee, and I'm forgetting it. It's like North Clinton and
sure.
whatever. But this guy has a building, and in there he put a studio. Yeah.
And there's a lot of studios around.
There are.
And you don't need the traditional recording studio to make a record.
No.
So 99% of the stuff
you got a beautiful one in your house.
It's okay. It's not. There's plenty really that are better than mine.
Okay, yeah.
It looks nice.
Yes, it does. It looks really, really good.
But that's where I do most of even Daughtry stuff. That's major label releases. You don't need to go into a studio. I can record my parts from home and just send them.
Yeah.
That's how people do stuff now. You don't need, the old days of the plexiglass, the screen. The vocal booth. You don't need all that now.
No. You've already done something that I think most musicians never do, right?
Write a song with John DiTullio.
Yeah. Yes. And a hit.
That was so fun.
A hit. I think he's still playing.
That was so fun.
But what drives you now? Is it legacy, creativity, your family, building the Roc Star Academy?
All of the above.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think legacy is a big thing. What are you going to be remembered by? And Daughtry is definitely not the most important thing I do in my life.
Yeah.
It's not. It's fun, and it's provided for my family, and I've been able to see the world, and I'm grateful for every single ounce of that. But the impact that Roc Star Academy has on kids, that's something that is way bigger than me, way more important. That is, you talk about kids not having confidence, and the barometer of whether you're cool or not is how many likes you get on a post, or social media is shitty. It's shitty, and nothing's sacred. And you can just open your Instagram, and all of a sudden you see all your friends at a party you didn't get invited to.
You're right.
It's so fucked up.
Yeah, it is.
So anything that we
you
can
can't
do,
get away from bullying, right? You used to be able to leave and shut your front door, and it was safe. And now it's
insane.
Like,
so anything that is a positive influence. I always say, like, if you have the ability to be a positive influence in the life of a child, that's the most important gift. But I don't know. I
think what makes your story so really powerful isn't that you just made it, but when you made it, because life gives most people 1,000 reasons to stop believing in themselves. And whether it be bills, kids, exhaustion, fear,
pressure,
responsibility. Yeah. And somewhere along the way, people confuse being realistic with giving up. And I think that's tough. And man, you never did. And maybe the lesson isn't follow your dreams. Maybe the lesson that I see with you is keep becoming the kind of person your dream would eventually need. Right?
Sure.
I mean, you that whole Daughtry thing was brilliant to be able to go, I'm going to make them hear what it would sound like if I were in the band.
Yeah, and
who would do? I'm like, that's amazing.
I used to say this to my kids in sports, like, if they're trying out for something, make it impossible for them to cut you.
Yeah.
Be seen.
Yeah.
Like, figure out a way to show that you're going to be value added in whatever situation it is, whether it's just like be a good teammate, help a kid up if he falls down, like have a presence in any way you can, but don't go invisible. If you're just one of those that sits in the background, it ain't going to happen. Like, figure it out.
Wow. Well, I really appreciate you coming in, and
dude, I loved it.
Thank you.
You're really good at this.
Well, I enjoy these kind of conversations. Those are some of my favorite parts of what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And I love it when it's somebody to me who has a story because they had a motor to do something.
Yeah.
And they did it. And everybody's like, I think there had to be probably old bandmates of yours like, he's not going to make it. They're going to be done with him in a way, right? And yet,
tons. Yeah.
And I go, no, there's a couple reasons why. Talent, work ethic, and just being kind.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you're just a likable guy.
There are plenty of people, especially locally, that are way more talented than me that deserve it as much as I do, and just circumstances and opportunities, and maybe they weren't willing to take the risk. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but it's not. I'm not going to sit here and say, I'm the most talented guy in the world. I'm not. I do a good job for my role, but, circumstances led me to where I am, and here we are.
Yeah, very cool. For Elvio Fernandes, I'm Bill Moran. We'll see you next time. You ever notice how people drive around with a garage full of junk while complaining they're broke? If you don't have any friends that do that, it might be you. How about that rusty grill? Maybe you got a pile of copper wire or a random chunk of metal that's been sitting behind the shed since the Clinton administration. Yeah, all of that is money, and that's where Premier Metal Recycling comes in. These guys know value, like real value, not internet math, actual cash value. Whether it's scrap steel, copper, brass, aluminum, Premier Metal will tell you what it's worth and put money in your hand. Honestly, it's one of the few places left where cleaning out your garage can actually pay off. They have two convenient locations, 909 West Linden Avenue in East Rochester and 11 Carn Street in downtown Rochester. You can also check daily pricing and exactly what materials they're buying at premiermetalgroup.com. Or, if you're feeling friendly, give them a call directly at 585-436-4020. Premier Metal Recycling. Because your junk pile might actually be your emergency fund.